Hello everybody, it's vanburman here. Welcome to my video today. Now, I subscribe to a number of different gaming channels, one of which is PlayStation Access. You may have heard of it. They're quite popular now, over 1 million subscribers, so they definitely know what they're doing. And they recently put out a video with just some new information on Final Fantasy 15. So they'd managed to have a play of it, the first 3 or 4 hours of it, in fact. So definitely had a good hands-on experience with it, and just been able to give some feedback on what they've discovered, different facets of the game, and how we can look at it going forward. Now, as you may know, and I've covered this topic quite a few times, and I'm still sticking with what I said before, which is, and we'll be getting it when it comes out, and I will give my decision at that point, my overarching decision. However, there's been a lot of stuff that's come out in that video that I wasn't aware of. Maybe it's been well known for some of you for a while, but I just really wanted to make a bit of a response about what I think about the different dynamics of the game. So one of the things that was said is that it's a lot different from the demo that we got in Final Fantasy Type 0, which I have played through, and a lot of that doesn't stand. In fact, I think that is just a sort of like tester area, and that won't be in the main game from what I gather. So the first thing that really annoys me, so we'll do that first, is the way that they are using the magic. So the idea behind the magic is you'll find minerals on the ground, and you will mix them together in a sort of vial or test tube, and then that will make a magic spell of sorts, and you'll then throw that at the enemies, and then that will do the damage. So by the sounds of it, there's not going to be any magic bar or anything like that, which I do sort of really quite miss, actually. I mean, I know that they took that out in 13 as well, and it was just the action points instead. But the fact that we're now sort of losing the ability to just be able to cast magic, I don't know, it just doesn't sit too well with me. The idea behind fetching minerals off the ground and mushing them up in a vial and using them as sort of expendable items, I guess, projectiles. And you have to obviously, well, by the sounds of it, you have to equip them to your party members before you go into a battle so they can use them. And of course, it's more of like a bit of a whole preparation type of thing. It sort of leads me back to the sort of thing The Witcher did when it was using its mutations and the potions. And obviously in The Witcher 2, you would take them before, or take them as you rested, and you'd have a toxicity level. I don't know if that's the word. Anyway, you know what I mean. So you could only have certain buffs, and otherwise, if the potions were too toxic, it would, quite badly damage you. So the fact that you've got to have all this preparation beforehand for magic, I don't know. I like having my list of stats, their skills, magic abilities at my disposal to use as and when it dictates in battle, rather than making sure I've done all the necessary preparation beforehand. But having said this, I don't like it, but it sort of fits in with the other stuff they're trying to do in the game as well, which leads me on quite nicely to the whole camping simulator aspect of it, I suppose. And that is that obviously you have to camp and you have to rest in order to get your experience. So you can rest in various different places, campsites, hotels, and you'll get a buff to your experience depending on where you decide to stay. So if you stayed in a hotel, it'd be more expensive, but you would get a bigger experience multiplier or percentage or whatever, however they're going to do it, to help you level up or gain your ability points or whatever it is it does, quite frankly. And the other thing as well is you have to make sure that you're eating food and that you're collecting supplies so that you can make dinner when you stop and camp. I mean, it just seems rather convoluted and, I'll be honest, quite pointless, really. It just seems an unnecessary part of the game that is just tacked on to make things a bit more complicated for no real reason. I mean, in the scenario in my head, you'll get to like the final boss and you'll be in the final area and you'll have to camp up and you'll be there thinking, oh no, I didn't get enough pink mushrooms to make this amazing mushroom soup that will give me a stat bonus for the final battle. And I just can't really. And then that mixed with the fact that, oh, have I made enough, fire magic to throw at my enemies or not before then? I don't know. I mean, to some of you guys, does that sound good? Does that sound like something you really want to do? I mean, the Witcher thing was fine. It was a really small part of it. And obviously in Skyrim and Oblivion, that sort of stuff for potions and resistances and stuff have been mostly optional. You can, if you want to fully prepare in that way for a battle, then that's great. Unless you want to go down the other route and make sure you've got the strongest powerful weapon with extra magic abilities to take down a ice wraith or whatever, rather than using the ice resistance potion, then you can do it that way. Whereas you are sort of, feel like you're very shoehorned in on Final Fantasy 15 to take part in all of those small, minute details. So none of that sits particularly right with me. Aside from the other issues that I've had before, for example, just seems to be having those 4 main male characters that you can use, and obviously you're only controlling one. Big issue for me, and I know it's an issue for a lot of people. But more than that, or over the fact that it just seems to be humanoid playable characters. It doesn't seem to be this. I think you lose a lot of rich storytelling options when you're just shoehorned into having 4 guys in a party. 4 male guys, no mixture of races or even genders. And they all look pretty similar as well, to a certain degree, obviously. I know the term boy band simulator has been banded around, but which you can see, it makes sense. These things aren't done just to annoy people that are really looking forward to the game. That's what it looks like, regardless. And the other side of it is the aesthetic with the clothing. Now, this came in 13.2, I think it was when it first. Although it came in Final Fantasy 10.2 as well with the dress spheres, but it's amalgamated itself now into such a point where they're actually going to be apparently releasing one of the versions of Final Fantasy 15 with some included DLC for extra clothing for Noctis and the other guys. I don't know exactly what it is, like casual wear or something, so you can change it up. But I just don't really like that sort of style. I mean, none of it's very functional either, and I think that's part of the issue. It's not like you're upgrading your armor. It's not like you're getting you're going from your mail to your to full plate, or you've got a special bracer, or you've got a different helmet or anything like that. I'm trading in my jacket for a vest. Or I'm trading in, my leather jacket and my vest for a casual t-shirt and a cap. I just don't see the desire, the appeal to have that on my characters. The aesthetic part of it I really like and I really want to see is the different armors that you get and how that changes on your appearance. Like the same with the weapons as well. But the whole weapon system thing is another issue altogether. And the fact that they now can, or they will, have paid DLC for different aesthetics, different clothes. I'm sure you'll be able to dress Noctis up as Lightning, probably, or Cloud, or whatever. And just a way to, it just seems a way to nickel and dime people, out of more money for really items that, I don't know, I don't agree with. I know, although, having said that, I'm not really sure in my mind, in my ideal situation, how you really do a DLC for Final Fantasy, to be honest. Other than, artwork and soundtracks and stuff like that, I don't know. To me, it doesn't feel like DLC really has a place in that sort of style, other than an expansion. But, I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know what you guys think on that matter. And there was something else I wanted to talk about, and I never write these things down, they're all improv, but there was something else from that video that I was going to mention. But I've just remembered something else, so we'll talk about that instead. And that is the battle system. The way that PlayStation Access described it was it's Kingdom Hearts for adults. I suppose it sort of fits in with the vision that they were going with Final Fantasy 13 in the beginning. 13 verses, sorry, in the beginning. It was meant to be that style. And then it became a main series Final Fantasy game, but now it's sort of gone... It sort of carried on with how it was, with the battle system was meant to be, rather than how you would normally perceive a main series title to be. And we all know my thought. Well, you probably all know my thoughts on it, and I just miss the turn-based style and the layout, being able to control all your characters. Even now, I'm going to miss just being able to actually have access to my, pool of magic and skills that I would have had previously. So, I mean, there you go. And I do want to address this issue as well, because this is really bugging me. And people say that, it's just an evolution of game. It's just, this is how games have evolved, and that this is how it should be done from now on. Yeah, okay, well, alright, you look at the games that are popular now that are RPGs, you got your Mass Effects, you've got your Skyrims, and your Oblivions, obviously, and, the Elder Scrolls. And then you sort of look at, Final Fantasy is just trying to take the parts from that and not have its take away from its own identity to cater to that audience. But in history, if you look from Final Fantasy 9 to Final Fantasy 10, there's a massive difference visually, right? No one's going to argue that, because PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2. But in terms of the battle system, you've gone from an ATB to a... I don't know exactly what the battle system is called, but where you can see when your next attack's going to be, and I think it's like a free turn system or something like that. So technically that's a step back, because if you're doing it in the Final Fantasy X style, there's absolutely no time restriction at all. Whereas with 9 and 8 and 7, you've actually got to fill up a bar in order to be able to then move. So there is 9 mainly. There's an active part of it. There's not, if you're not choosing anything, the other bars are still filling up. Obviously, you could change that in the settings and everything, but I'm just trying to say that technically 10 is a step back in the battle system from 9. And you've further than that, obviously, we've got loads of other games that have come out that are turn-based and done really well. XCOM 2, the Banner Saga. I know it's on portable platforms, but you've got Pokemon, you've got Dragon Quest, you've got Fire Emblem, you've got Bravely Default. I'm sure there are many others. They're the main ones I can think of, though. And a lot of them have been really successful. So I don't really buy the argument that this is necessarily how they have to go. Square Enix can do whatever they want with it. They can keep it in the traditional style for the purists like me, as some people would say, or you can move towards the action RPG genre that, they're hoping will get them more mainstream popularity. They've said it. They said it a long time ago. They said it when they released 13 that they were never going back. But it's just more and more watered down, in my opinion. I don't see anything massively revolutionary here at all. Oh, I remember the last quote I was going to say. I hate the car, alright? I don't care what people say. Yes, it's a very nice looking car and it looks cool, but airships, cars. You decide, but to me, it's not even an argument. The car should be a secondary vehicle as far as I'm concerned, used sporadically, but the main attraction surely has got to be an airship. I just don't like it. Don't really like much about it, to be fair. Some of the enemies look quite cool. And the summons look quite cool. But the story seems a bit bland and mild and a bit meh. But, oh well. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I'm sure we can have some arguments in the comments. That's always fun. But no, if you have anything, decent to say, or correct me on something that I've said wrong, because sometimes I do, then that is totally fine. But anyway, guys, thank you much for watching, and I will see you all very soon.